Hey everyone, and welcome to the final episode of this current series of Mobility Mondays. Today, what I thought I would do is bring things kind of full circle and show you some simple, kind of almost like a basic checklist of mobility drills that you can do regardless of what your training might be. So these are drills that are not kind of obscure powerlifting or Olympic weightlifting or professional sport based drills that only people of that level would really need to be doing. I thought I would do four very easy to do, very easy to get the equipment needed to do them, and don't take that long. They require very little explanation really. I'm going to include links to videos in the description that will help you kind of go find videos in case you're not familiar with these. But these are the most basic kind of for covering most bases mobility drills that I can think of at the top of my head. So I've got my little list here. The first one is foam rolling the hamstrings. So simply getting one of those big foam rollers at the gym, using it across the back of your leg, using your body weight as resistance, and just flossing and rolling from behind the knee or just above the back of the knee all the way up to kind of the high hamstring where it inserts into your glutes. The hamstrings take a lot of work, things like squatting, things like any kind of hinging movement. If the hamstrings are too tight, it's going to affect your ability to do those movements properly, no matter how light the weight might be. If you're not mobile enough in that area, it's going to be difficult to do those movements correctly. Now, you don't have to be an absolute supple leopard, Kelly Starrett level, but just foam rolling the hamstrings before you train will help you work in a slightly more effective way. So that's one. That's number one. Number two is same thing, foam roller. Again, big foam roller, you can get it at the gym. T-spine. So you would have hopefully seen my T-spine drill for really getting good T-spine extension the other week. Again, that's quite uncomfortable, and you don't really need to be doing that unless you are trying to get really good extension for things like, heavy squatting, heavy deadlifting, heavy bench pressing, things like that. Just having some decent T-spine extension will really help with things like your body weight rowing movements that you normally get introed with. So again, lying on a foam roller and rolling that area between the kind of base of your neck and about halfway down your back, that kind of lumpy, bumpy area around the shoulder blades. Arms above your head, arms by your side, arms behind your head. Doesn't really matter. Just get it done for a couple of minutes per session, and again, it's going to really benefit you. That's number two. Number three, stretching the hip flexors. When you think about not being able to squat properly, or when I say not being able to squat properly, kind of falling forward a lot in the upper body when you squat, 9 times out of 10 that is to do with obviously poor control, but also very tight hip flexors. Most of what we do in our daily lives these days encourage the hip flexors to be very, very tight, very, very short. So simply stretching them before you train will help you keep a more upright posture in things like squatting. But it also just means that your glutes tend to be able to fire more actively, and it can have knock-on effects for the rest of your training, and it takes next to no time to do, and it is a very basic stretch. So that's number three. And then finally, number four, stretch your lats. These get very, very tight, this area here. When they get tight, they lead to all sorts of things, like they can increase humeral glide when you're doing your rowing movements. They make it much harder to not internally rotate, which is what leads to a lot of compressed kind of AC joints. So stretching the lats, again, very easy to do. You can do it with any kind of upright, standing and leaning. You can do it on the floor. Very basic stretch to do, and I'd say it's one that will give you the most bang for your buck in terms of upper body stretches. There's lots of very specific ones you can do. I think the lat stretch is just a really good one to start with and finish with on sessions. So guys, those are my four kind of go-to ones. Like I said, they're not necessarily the best, but they're the ones that most people will be able to do in their gym with the equipment they've got. You can do it as a little circuit before you train, and I just think it ticks the most boxes whilst being able to be done in the least amount of time. So I hope that's useful. I've really enjoyed doing the Mobility Mondays. The mobility stuff really is important. It's, mobility for mobility's sake is something that bothers me a lot. But if you're going to train hard, you're going to put your body through a lot of stress. It just makes sense to look after it. Yeah, it's not it hasn't got to be this big scientific thing, but just take care of your body and you will get more out of your training. So I'm signing off this series. I'll be back on Wednesday, hopefully, for Workout Wednesdays. And then the final episode of Functional Fridays is Friday. So have a good rest of the week, guys, and I will see you soon. This is Paul from Get Yours Online Training and Nutrition. Thanks.